Brandon Blackwood TV presents Ask SheRa, where all your questions about love receive modern day answers. And now, please welcome our host, viral sensation, SheRa.
What happens when a match made in marketing heaven just falls apart? A romance the internet was ready to see flourish, teased, hyped, soft-launched, suddenly vanishes without a trace. Ghosted. No text, no call, no last meetup for closure. It's Valentine's Day. We're mourning a love lost. The could-have-been iconic collaboration between the infamous SheRaSeven and the illustrious Brandon Blackwood. And yes, we're going to treat it like a branding lesson and a relationship lesson because, baby, alignment is alignment. I'm Vesper Cognac. I'm a design strategist, and I teach you the strategy behind things that seem like coincidence or luck. Today's story is what happens when two people overlap beautifully on paper, but their core values truly prove to be incompatible. And when you confuse overlap for alignment, that's when heartbreak starts. If you like strategic analysis, fashion, and a little bit of story time, then this video is for you, my fellow curious intellects. Let's start with a woman who truly needs no introduction, but we'll give her one anyway. SheRaSeven. SheRaSeven is an American financial advisor and social media personality.
I told you I'm not a relationship coach, baby. I'm not trying to fix your relationship. I'm trying to get you some money and not have to deal with no dust.
The Southern Belle is a married mother of 2 daughters, and she started her YouTube career around 2013. She is known for her raw, unfiltered, unapologetic dating advice that focuses on an intersection of Black womanhood, hypergamy, luxury mindset, and what she calls feminine strategy. She defines feminine strategy as teaching women how to think a little bit more self-centered, but in a healthy way, and understanding the rules of the game, and the game being patriarchy.
For y'all ladies out there who are just getting into this type of thinking, let go of the morals of a patriarchal society and create your own. That's number one, because you're not going to win playing the game that they created for you to lose in. Strategize. Use distractions. Know their triggers. Use that reverse psychology, girl. Play several opponents on different chessboards at the same time so you can learn different strategies while you're playing this other game, that game, and this game. Do you understand what I'm telling y'all? That's why you need that roster, baby. This man may be doing the same thing this man finna do, and since he already did it, you can clack it from over here and know how to move next. So play 3 opponents or more at the same time. Get out of the patriarchal mindset, okay? Get into the goddess mindset. You in it to win it. Do what you gotta do.
She would always say sprinkle, sprinkle after somebody gave her a super chat or a donation. And around 2023, her catchphrase went mainstream due to TikTok, people clipping her streams and posting up there.
Like Belle said in Beauty and the Beast, she said, there's got to be more than this just provincial life. And before you know it, she's in a castle with an ugly man that likes her 10 times more, trying to prove himself, giving her the keys to the library. Talking about till as old as time. Because she said there's more. There's got to be more than this provincial life. This ain't for me. No, Dusty Gaston, closeted DL Gaston. I don't want you. Okay, she knew. Y'all got to know too. Okay, she said, Father, let me take your place in this castle. Go back to the broke cottage on the dusty side of town and I'll take your place in this gorgeous castle. She went to the rich side of town and she stayed there. She sent her daddy back home where he was. Okay, she knew what she was doing. She switched her environment, said no to the dusty down low Gaston, got her castle, got her man, and was about her business and broke the spell. Okay, sprinkle, sprinkle.
If you're teaching women how to date strategically, habitually calling men dusties, your content's going to be polarizing. Detractors say that SheRaSeven is too extreme and that she's setting up women for failure by promoting transactional relationships. Others call her Machiavellian or nihilistic.
The difference between young guys' egos and old man's egos or older guys' egos is a young guy hasn't gotten super accomplished yet. So any little thing is going to hurt his ego, okay? Because he's not accomplished in life yet. He ain't got nothing to flex and show, okay? So his ego is fragile. An old man's ego, because he's more accomplished and probably has more money, it's less fragile. Okay? When you remember, men's value is based on their accomplishments, their salary, their career, and if they're a good enough provider, husband and father. Okay, so it depends on all of those things as to whether his ego is fragile or not.
But I've personally read 48 Laws of Power, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Art of Seduction. In general, I just like Robert Greene's books, as well as Why Men Love Bitches. That's kind of what her content is, in a sense.
Smile, even though they're not really talking about anything that exciting. Hi, how are you? Okay. Yes. Are you having a good day? You're so beautiful. Thank you so much. You know, look like you're enjoying yourself with him and make him look like the man. Okay. You're making him look important and he is loving that attention on him. He's loving the fact that, you know, you're doting over him and he's loving the fact that all men are looking and saying, oh my gosh, you know, look at that. Look at that dude. Look what he's scoring. So he's like, oh, Everybody's staring. They want her, so I might as well scoop her up. Give her my number, get her number, whatever, exchange numbers. And so with that, you will get, the type of responses and approach that you desire, but you have to make that eye contact. And you have to be feminine and desirable, and you have to smile. You cannot be distracted on a phone, and you have to give body language, and you have to ask questions, and you have to dote, and you have to be the ultimate, I'm so glad I crossed the room for you type woman. Okay? You got to put in a little bit of extra.
Her primary audience is Black women between the ages of 20, 45 years old. In Black American culture, are taught to be over-giving, over-self-sacrificing, and the strong one all the time, much to our own detriment. Her content resonates with women who needed that wake-up call.
Start getting dressed for you, not him, but for you. Remember, they treat you how you treat yourself. So make it into a habit to get up every single day and pour into yourself. Men are visual creatures. And just by looking good will change a man's entire thought process. You gotta be self-centered in order for them to treat you as the prize. So if you level up, you can't do it for the man, you gotta do it for you. And when they realize you're not doing it for them anymore or ever, then they're gonna want you more. Want you more and do more for you. They get suspicious, like, why are you getting dressed up? That's why you need to get dressed up every day. There's no suspicion. If that's who you truly are. Okay, if you wear ugly clothes, don't do your makeup, don't you do your hair, and then all of a sudden you do it one day and not the next day. That does make people suspicious because who are you getting dressed for? You don't get dressed for yourself. You don't do this every day for you, so who are you doing it for? They know you well because you don't do enough for yourself. Now, if you did get up every day for yourself, there is no questions. There's no suspicion. They understand you are the prize, period.
As somebody who used to be naturally a little bit naive and who genuinely thought that people said things that they meant, I knew people lied, but I didn't understand the depths of manipulation, particularly within a relationship.
Yes, I want a relationship with you. You are future wifey. If they start talking like that too soon, you know something wrong. Men don't want to rush into new commitment. They want to rush into the bed. And you sit up there believing it. So, they can tell you anything to get you in the bed. They can tell you exactly what you want to hear, what you looking for. What you looking for in me. So what you looking for in me. Or what you look for in your man. They sitting here like this. What else? Okay. What else you need? You want him to do it? Okay. That's exactly what he becomes. Your dream man. And once he get in your bed, then he gonna poof and disappear just like a dream.
Her blunt and morbidly hilarious takes paired with her over-the-top allusions and allegories and her Southern accent help drive her points home, making concepts more tangible and easier to understand.
If something rejected you, it threw you in the trash can and took you out to the curb and let the garbage man pick you up and take you to the landfill and dump you with the trash and the hidden dead bodies and the diapers with poop in them. That's where he left you. Okay? And you gonna crawl out the landfill, walk back to the same place where, get in the garbage truck, ride back by his house, put yourself back in the garbage can, wait for him to roll the garbage can in the house, and you're gonna pop up out of there. Surprise!
Now, is it extreme? Yes, but she's kind of like that auntie that you really need to keep it real with you, who's not going to hold back to preserve your feelings.
Why y'all having to keep recover? Every time y'all get in a relationship, y'all been traumatized, got to recover from stuff. Okay, y'all might as well sign up and go to the military. Y'all gonna have to come back and recover from every time you go out. Y'all go to war every time y'all go in a relationship. Okay? Y'all got to be hooked up to IVs, go to full-time therapy. After you get in stop dating, that's how. Love yourself. Get a man who likes you times 10, and that's going to do whatever you need them to do. That's how. Stop getting into relationships where you have to recover from. The heck? Here I go again. Back into the relationship with this dust I'm going to have to recover from. Okay, that's y'all's fault. Learn your lesson. Do better. Recover by not looking back. Forgive yourself. And don't deal with nothing that cannot benefit you in every way. Don't do it again.
She constantly talks about mindset, manifestation, strategic detachment to shift you from being a person who's desperately trying to be picked to understanding that you are the selector. And she does this in like a really authentic and almost kind of like YouTube purist way by sitting in her bedroom. It's aspirational yet relatable. It's glamorous, but it seems like something that you can attain. And she's done her content like this for over 10 years. She frequently shares parts of her life. Back in a video from about 2014, a get to know me video, where she talked about her family, her favorite things, her obsession with Michael Jackson, and a tattoo of her name that a man had gotten on him.
And this is my name tattooed on the arm of a man that I had never met, and he got my name tattooed on him before we met. Then we finally did meet, and it didn't work out, but he was still very sweet, and that's his only tattoo ever.
And that really hit the relatability scale for myself. I don't have any tattoos. I'm more of a piercing person. Someone was insistent on getting my name tattooed on them. I designed the tattoo for them, and then I went along with them as they got it done. And similar to SheRa, things just didn't work out. What attracts people to her is her raw and authentic energy that is confident, and she doesn't ask to take up space. Her primary audience prefer rules, they were looking for clear outcomes, and they feel a sense of agency by following SheRa. These women don't care if SheRa7 ruffles feathers, and in fact, any type of polarization kind of deepens their parasocial aspect with her.
Any woman that follows me is a loser. Yeah, they be losing the dust left and right. You right. They be losing dust left and right. They be kicking dust to the curb, losing dust left and right. You are correct. We be dust free. See the bottom of the screen? Dust free. We lose dust. Get lost dust. That's right. I gotta come up with telling people to make fake eviction notice to get y'all to move out back to your mama's house. I gotta tell women how to ask you for something you know you can't afford, so you just tuck your tail and run back home to mama in shame because you didn't man up enough. I teach women how to avoid the dust altogether. Okay.
So SheRaSeven's brand is a bit risky and provocative, but the ones that truly follow her and follow through would be willing to buy. Now let's talk about the designer on the other side of this almost love story, Brandon Blackwood. Brandon Blackwood is a first-generation American fashion designer and the founder of Brandon Blackwood, New York. He is of Jamaican and Chinese descent, and he was born in Brooklyn. A common theme that you'll see with Brandon Blackwood is the idea or the perception that he's lucky. But it seems like he's attracting situations that he seems to be prepared for. Before fashion, Brandon was studying neuroscience at Bard College, but at the same time, he was quietly pursuing fashion internships while working at Crossroads Trading and designing on the side. Brandon created a backpack for himself.
I don't know, I was like really bored and I just looked up and I just made one. I lied to the factory and was like, oh, I have a brand bowl, but I just need one sample because I just need one bag.
This ended up becoming the Portmore in his collection. He wore the backpack all around New York, and people would frequently ask him about this backpack, but it garnered the attention of an Essence editor.
I would show them my backpack. And one person in particular was at the time an editor at Essence. And she was like, oh, I'm going to put it in Essence. And I remember she was like, I need a high-res photo. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what's a high-res photo? So I remember getting all that together and seeing it. And just like, round up of like, 5 backpacks to look out for whatever. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to take this serious.
And then 2015 is when he launches his first line. He made a simple Squarespace and was making orders and shipping them out on his lunch break.
My first collection was like 4 pieces. It was a tote bag, a backpack, a wallet, and a smaller little like shoulder moment. I don't know what I was doing.
Even the fact that your first collection was like 5 pieces, Brandon.
I don't like just one thing. I don't know. I just can't do it.
That is not like normal or regular.
His overall energy for the brand and seemingly himself is that it's grounded, disciplined, and intentional. Now, Brandon Blackwood is part of this kind of new generation or new era of Black luxury, and more specifically, accessible luxury.
I did not grow up with like $3,000 handbags around me, my mom carrying that stuff. You know what I mean? So how crazy would that be for me to try to make that? I mean, go for it if you think you can do it. I wanted to always make something where my cousins in Atlanta could afford it. My best friends from school, you know what I mean? My family can actually go to my website, click, and like check out and not have to sweat. And I've always said, you know how people say like network out, not up?
Yep.
I saw the same way with like sales. Like I want the people who actually mess with me and like me to be able to buy my stuff and not alienate them with like an $800 item or like something that's not really realistic.
It was his End Systemic Racism tote, which is quite literally a simple canvas bag with the phrase End Systemic Racism that was launched in 2020. His brand really kicked off when Kim Kardashian was seen wearing this.
No, I saw Kim K with the ESR tote. I saw Doja Cat with the Play bag, calling it her favorite bag. Normani with the bamboo bag that I need to restock immediately.
I know. Everyone's on me about that.
It was definitely Lala for me. I'm not, call me a sheep, whatever. But when I saw her with that tiny little Kendrick tote, I went and bought 2.
That was one of the best-selling ones.
Rapper Sweetie decided to include one of his staple bags called a Kendrick trunk in her music video. Brandon Blackwood himself wasn't aware that this was going to happen, and that led to them both working with McDonald's on a meal campaign. Part of what makes Brandon Blackwood's brand so distinctive is his approach to luxury signaling. Brandon Blackwood became known for creating these ridiculously tiny purses and handbags that were so small that you couldn't even put a regular sized cell phone in them. This is where I have another story time that comes into play. Back in like 2021, I had been yapping to my husband at the time about these Brandon Blackwood bags, just yapping. And for my 30th birthday, he bought me a Quay bag that was blue, crocodile print, embossed patent leather. When it arrives, he didn't open the box, and he understood that the unboxing was part of the Brandon Blackwood brand experience. So he presents it to me, and I open it, and I'm ecstatic. I'm just excited. It's so cute. I love it. But his face was terrified, petrified, mortified. And he was like, I paid $300 for this? And I'm like, yes, they're little. Like, that's the point. They're little. He was utterly confused and he just didn't get it. You can fit an ID in here. You could fit a lip gloss, maybe your keys, but you most certainly can't fit a wallet in that purse.
You are going to be in the presence of a grown, able-bodied man that's supposed to like you and love you and cherish you. Why are you reaching in your purse? Okay? That's it. You don't need to reach in your purse if you're in the presence of a masculine man. Now do you? No, you didn't.
Later on, I buy myself another quay, a red leopard print pony hair one. I was meeting my friend for a burlesque show, but I was running late. I was getting my nails done or something. And I get into the space and he immediately just hands me money for the tip and just shoves it into the purse. And that was it. Nothing else could fit in there. Just a wad of money sitting in this tiny purse. So I just had to have him hold my cell phone and my lip gloss. These bags are status symbols due to the downright impracticality and the borderline uselessness beyond aesthetics. The true value lies in what it signals. Brand-wise, Brandon Blackwood's aesthetic and vision is very clear. His brand is polished, minimalist, editorial, and structured. He names all of his bags and products after his friends, family, and places he's been. And he calls his customers cousin. And this intentional reframing creates closeness without loss of control and warmth without messiness. And that's the true distinction between Brandon Blackwood and SheRa. Brandon Blackwood's brand is built on coherence and audience expectation. And this is why this partnership looked great on paper, but couldn't survive the misalignment. Let's flash back to 2024 when this unfortunate situationship soft launched. Brandon Blackwood sent out initially a text message teasing a Valentine's Day edit. And then he sent out an email. And as you're scrolling through the email, you see, bags, shoes, but then a familiar face catches your eye. It's SheRaSeven and head to toe Brandon Blackwood, simply with a text that says coming soon. And then on his socials, he starts promoting a video campaign called Ask SheRa, a mini version of her live streams where she's in a Brandon Blackwood set answering your questions.
Hey y'all, SheRa7 here. Welcome to Brandon Blackwood TV. Today I'm here to answer all of your questions for Valentine's Day. So our first question is, what are some tips on dating older men? I say tequila and an oldies playlist, because if you give them a couple of shots of tequila, you put on that oldies playlist, they'll be asleep by 8 o'clock and you can go do whatever you want. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
And I would say whoever came up with this marketing idea is a genius. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. People were excited about this. Brandon Blackwood had his finger on the pulse of the culture, and people were bigging up SheRa for getting her bag, which is what she's all about.
When a designer is this tapped into what's going on social media and what's popular, they are a force to be reckoned with, because Brandon Blackwood collaborating with SheRaSeven for Valentine's Day, knowing she always speaks about relationships, is literally genius. You are that tapped in to know this is what happens when you pay attention to what's going on. I love it. I'm so into it. This was a teaser Brandon Blackwood's brand posted yesterday, and I'm just so excited because, when I saw this, I'm like, SheRaSeven, sprinkle. Yeah, Brandon, catch me on your website, because you did that, and I'm very excited to see what you and SheRa done cooked up. A lot of you brands could learn a thing or two from Brandon Blackwood, because I think he definitely pays attention. He knows who's relevant, and he partners with the right people to make sure that we're paying attention.
Now, I will say personally, the collection, I'm not the fashion designer, I am just a designer, and I understand retail where, months ahead you're selling things, but it seemed to be weird to be having shoes with swimsuits, with a fur coat, with clutches, just like an amalgamation of things that just didn't seem to make sense to me. But, I'm not the designer, and that's not the point here. So let's move on. Both of them centered Blackness and Black excellence. They both embody luxury aspiration, and they're both personality-driven brands based on conviction and clarity. So the audience overlap was real. SheRaSeven's audience is highly engaged, highly loyal, and conversion ready. They constantly send super chats and buy whatever she recommends. And then when you pair it with a Black-owned luxury brand, it doesn't get any easier than that. Strategically, this was primed as a perfect expansion mechanism for both brands. Around the time the campaign was rolling out, there was a growing sentiment online for people to boycott Starbucks due to their perceived alignment with Israel and the genocide in Palestine. SheRaSeven was seen at a Starbucks, and a TikToker filmed it and accosted her online. And what does SheRaSeven do? She stays true to herself and doubles down. She essentially says something along the lines that she doesn't center politics in her day-to-day life.
And SheRa's response was basically, that's none of her concern. She has more pressing and immediate matters to be worried about. So what's happening in other countries, she just can't be bothered with that. And she's going to continue to drink her Starbucks, yada, yada, yada. Now, this sparked a ton of outrage and backlash.
And in an instance, the campaign was erased from all socials and off of the Brandon Blackwood website. There was no statement made by either himself or SheRa about why the collab was canceled or even that it was canceled.
While I couldn't find out if Brandon or if anybody from his company has publicly spoken out about the conflict overseas, I do know they're very much about being woke and using their fashion and platform to implement the change they want to see in the world, meaning that it probably wasn't the best idea to choose somebody who is anti-making political statements to represent their brand.
In all that I've known, research looked up, SheRaSeven has never positioned herself as an advocate. More often than not, people count her as in the opposite direction of altruistic. So I don't know why people expected her to have any position whatsoever.
And before I go forward, I do not agree with what SheRa said. I think that her comments were callous, they were insensitive. But what I don't understand is why people are so surprised. If you've watched any of SheRa's videos, not once did she ever even pretend to give off the impression that she was compassionate, kind, politically astute. I don't know how the hell y'all had these types of expectations for a woman like SheRa, because she went out of her way to show us exactly who she was. Y'all must be watching her videos with the sound off.
And in my personal opinion, I feel like this whole outrage and this whole backlash was performative. And if we're being realistic, any person who's truly purchasing Brandon Blackwood's products, I'm not saying that you can't be genuine in your concern about politics, but
I know that the ESR code has been discontinued, but do you ever see in the future using your bags or your collection to foster new types of social change?
That bag proved, I think, a lot to the industry. It proved a lot to me and my team. It said so much. I didn't know, or none of us knew that it would get as big. So that message behind it, even though the ESR code is discontinued, we're always going to carry that through. Like, even after it was discontinued, we've been donating and like work with different things. Imani has always come with ideas for like things to do for the community. But I think one, just being a black designer, especially being a black designer like based in Brooklyn,
Right.
You can't not be for the people.
Right.
You know, so I think that's always going to be something we focus on.
you're literally buying bags that have no functional use besides to hold a lip gloss. And I personally don't even think people who were complaining were in his audience. It was just people who wanted to complain and virtue signal. In 2023, he had collabed with Starbucks himself, making drink cozies. Literally, drink cozies.
If you want the definitions of brilliant marketing, look no further than this Starbucks collaboration with Brandon Blackwood. That's right, Starbucks has collaborated with a fashion designer for the first time ever to create a bag to hold their new bottle drinks. Before you ask me, these have already sold out. They sold out in literally like 2 minutes. But they are the perfect accessory for festival season, so I think that was intentional with the timeline of the launch. If you keep up with what's hot in fashion, you already know Brandon Blackwood. He went viral for his End Racism tote back in 2020, and he was tapped in as Starbucks' first ever fashion designer collaborator. Although these bags were created to house these specific Starbucks drinks, I do wonder if other standard size water bottles and drinks can comfortably fit in here, because if so, this could be the perfect festival, concert, vacation accessory, because it also has space for your phone in the back. In the marketing industry, this is known as co-branding or a collaboration of shared equity. This is when two very influential entities of kind of a similar influence come together to create a campaign or a product that caters to their mutual audiences. And usually their audiences overlap or are people with similar interests and similar purchasing behaviors. This co-branding partnership was clearly a success because, like I said, these bags sold out in 2 minutes. I think this partnership is brilliant, and cheers to Starbucks for collaborating with a Black designer.
I also think that's part of the reason why he didn't distance himself from SheRa. He didn't distance himself from Starbucks. Simply nothing was said, and the silence was strategic. Now, with any failed partnership or relationship, it's always a wise idea to take a step back and reflect on not only their actions, but yours as well. On the surface, everything aligned. But you really stripped back and look at the true core identities between the brands, there were just structural differences that just could not ever be resolved. Where misalignment comes up or becomes present is when expectations surface. Brandon Blackwood built a brand on social awareness and values consistency. His audience expects him to move carefully when public sense are involved. SheRaSeven built a brand on personal sovereignty. Her audience expects her to remain unbothered and self-directed, even under controversy. And once both audiences activated at the same time, the tension became structural. When it comes to branding and strategy, boundaries are your brand values, what you'll stand by, what you believe, what you won't waver on. And this also takes into account your audience. What will they forgive and what will they forget? Boundaries are useless or meaningless unless they are communicated properly. And more often than not, that's usually in writing. You should know how you'll exit before you launch. Whether that's pivot, silence, you want to be able to walk away should anything come up where it's just mutually beneficial to split ways. Now, if you're an entrepreneur or creator or just somebody who's curious about building their own personal brand, I do have a brand discovery workbook pinned in the comments and in the description below that can help you communicate to your audience and meet their needs. At the end of the day, alignment requires effort and signaling from both parties. The goal is to not let it jade us, but to take a chance to learn and look for new opportunities and make sure that we're prepared for those the next time around. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with a friend if you found it educational. Everything you encounter is by design. So until next time, I'm Vesper Cognac.